Former Malaysian Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najib Razak vowed to appeal a 12-year jail sentence handed down by a court today after he was found guilty of crimes involving the multi-billion-dollar company 1MDB-related company SRC International. Judge Muhammad Nazlan Ghazali sentenced Datuk Seri Najib after a lengthy conversation and after a lengthy trial to 12 years in jail on one count of abuse of power, 10 years each for 3 counts of criminal breach of trust, and 10 years each for 3 counts of money laundering, as well as a fine of 210 million ringgit. But he ordered these sentences to run concurrently, meaning that Datuk Seri Najib will face up to 12 years in jail. What does this mean? Immediately, I want to bring on a lawyer, Lim Wei Jiet. Wei Jiet, thanks for trying to spend the time with us and make this a little bit better in terms of the normal rakyat out there who's trying to decipher the legalese. First question is Datuk Seri Najib going to jail anytime soon?
No, because the defense applied for a stay of the sentencing, which means the sentencing is postponed until he has exhausted his appeal at the Court of Appeal. And that may take months or years even at this stage.
The question now revolves around what would be some of the strategies that his defense team is going to take. If I can just play this clip by Datuk Seri Najib's lawyer, Tan Sri Shafi'i, just shortly, just now when he delivered it on the steps of the court. Can we play that particular clip, please?
And there are several legal issues that you may want to consider in your assessment of what we are saying. This is the first case ever where a shadow director, who is not a director of SRC, is considered as a person who can call the shots over and above the board of directors. This is a principle I've never heard of before. Although shadow directors is a concept, but never applied in this form, especially in a criminal case. That's number one. Number two, this is also a case where principles of company law has been thrown aside, because the learned judge said that a shareholder can literally take away the function of the board of directors, and the board of directors need not have to be liable for it. You and I know that in any company, especially in companies like SRC, the board of directors are the primary persons who makes decision, and their heads are the one on the chopping block, not the shareholders. So this is just two that I give you as example, which troubles a lot of people, trouble a lot of our defense team, because it is a clear-cut case. We feel error has been made.
So we know that this could be the strategy in terms of them trying to tackle it from the Company Act angle. What is the timeline that we can expect Datuk Seri Najib to take, and how long is the normal process going to take for a person to appeal in the higher courts or Court of Appeal for this matter?
Well, he should appeal soon, ideally within 14 days, so he doesn't lose his vacant parliamentary seat. But upon the filing of appeal, it could be heard any time from 6 months to a year or more than that even. That is not taking into account any interlocutory applications that he may want to file in between, for example, to recuse a certain judge or to request for more documents. So there are strategies that lawyers can deploy to buy more time at this particular juncture.
Is it fair to say that the presumption of innocence is no more applicable when it comes to Datuk Seri Najib? Is he guilty as charged?
He is guilty as charged. The presumption applies before he was convicted, no doubt. But now the High Court has already reached a conclusion and they have already convicted him. So that presumption is no longer applicable. No doubt he can still appeal, but he cannot say that he is no longer innocent. He is no longer guilty at this point.
So this is the problem, right? Because from the Twitter sphere, the country where I live in right now, it's talking about if you are found guilty and then if you appeal and the verdict is overturned at the process of appeal, that means you're not guilty. Is that a fair assessment?
No, that's not an accurate assessment at all. Like I mentioned earlier, there is a conviction. You are guilty until proven otherwise, i.e. if you are successful in the appeal.
All right. Of course, then the next conversation is there are many other trials that are in play right now. All of them are in queue. And what does this mean if he is found guilty in all the other cases as well? Is it going to be run concurrently in terms of the jail sentences? Is it going to run consecutively? What's the story there?
I think if there's a conviction in the 1MDB cases, for example, the sentences would run concurrently together with this. That doesn't mean that the sentences in the 1MDB trial could not be longer than the 12 years imposed here. So we have to see what the verdict is for those cases.
All right. And finally, I want to pick your brain in terms of the case itself. You've been monitoring this case for quite a bit. What do you make out of this case?
Well, I don't want to comment on the merits of the case because it is a subject of appeal. But what I can say is that the impact of this case is monumental in the sense that this is the first time in Malaysian history that a former Prime Minister is convicted of a crime. And for many Malaysians out there, it is a vindication to them. Only 2 years back, opposition has been silenced, there are activists that have been jailed, the whole institutions have been turned upside down. So for many people, this was the right choice that was made in the 14th general elections, and this is a very small step to restoring the rule of law in Malaysia as a whole.
All right. Thanks, Wei Jiet. We'll take a short break before we continue on our journey this evening in trying to decipher the court case today. Don't go anywhere.